They are a reminder of times gone by, of battles fought over land and sea. And still they attract attention, never failing to impress. Solent Airport is like no other, a place of aviation for more than 100 years.
Golf Juliet Papa, enter 23 from Alpha 1, backtrack the runway 2, Echo, report ready for departure.
10 years ago, the airport at Daedalus in Lyon-Solent was saved, sold to Fareham Borough Council for £1. Its history protected. From the early 1920s, planes took off and landed on what was then just grass. Both the Royal Air Force and Royal Navy used the base, delivering training on seaplanes and other aircraft. In 1939, it was officially commissioned as HMS Daedalus. 435 planes took off from here on D-Day, more than any other airfield in the UK. Among them, American aircraft, as well as Spitfires and other British warplanes.
Her Majesty the Queen arrives at Lyon-Solent to inspect the Royal Naval Air Command.
After the war, Daedalus became the core of the Royal Navy's Fleet Air Arm.
And now the Queen comes onto the balcony of the Flying Control Tower to watch a flypast by aircraft of 11 Fleet Air Arm squadrons.
With visits from the royal family, including Queen Elizabeth, in the early 1950s.
Over to Lyon-Solent in Hampshire, where the naval air stations of Lee and Gosport are at home to the public. Once a year,
The base also hosted events for the public, like this one in 1954, where pilots showed off the planes and helicopters based here. These continued until the base closed in 1996, with the Navy moving elsewhere. Now, though, the airport is thriving. It hosts up to 30,000 flights each year.
Golf Charlie Kilo Juliet India, A firm, the surface wind currently 120 degrees, 13 knots.
Thank you.
It's unusual in the aviation industry for a small airport to develop this quickly. When I first started here, the runway was in poor state. We didn't have an ATZ, air traffic zone. We weren't licensed. So we've achieved quite a lot in that decade. A licence, the runway's been completely resurfaced, as have a lot of taxiways.
The investment by the council was all about regenerating the local area, whilst remembering the history of the Daedalus site. A monument dedicated to all those who served at HMS Daedalus was installed this summer.
And it's a great honour and a privilege for us to unveil this commemorative stone today.
Veterans and serving Navy personnel gathered together, a reminder of how important this place is for so many.
Daedalus has always been a very loved establishment in the Fleet Air Arm. It has actually been known as the home of the Fleet Air Arm. And I'm an air engineer, and it was the air engineer's alma mater. So we lost both those things when Daedalus closed, which was very, very sad. Quite often, if you look at airfields over the years in other places, they disappear completely. You know, they just become a grass field, all the buildings either fall to pieces or demolished. So no, it lives on. It doesn't matter what form it lives on, it just lives on. I mean, things evolve, don't they? And this is involved still into Daedalus, a different Daedalus. Yeah, it's good.
And because Daedalus has evolved, much of its history has been protected.
It's critical for heritage and history. It's over 100 years old. There's so much history here, so many things happened. On D-Day, it's about the busiest airfield on D-Day itself, which in itself is quite an amazing fact. And it's a major asset for the people of Fareham, which is important, and Gosport, I should say, because it's, right on the boundary, and there's, it's important for both communities, as is the history of, aviation across those two boroughs.
I think history is very, very important. I think the younger generation need to know about the history. And me as an aviation enthusiast and aircraft engineer, I love to see them anyway. And the longer we can keep those old aircraft going, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
One of those is little Lulu. The Oster has been lovingly restored at her spiritual home and is one of the last of her kind in the world.
Little Lulu was based near here, operated alongside aircraft that flew out of Daedalus, and it lives in a fantastic 1938 hangar. The control towers from 1941, it's got that whole wartime heritage about it, and it's lovely to fly an old warbird out of here.
Mike took me for a quick trip down memory lane, or in my case, down the taxiway and back, retracing the path little Lulu would have taken 80 years ago. She isn't the only heritage plane based here. Solent Airport also hosts private Spitfire flights for several months of the year. The iconic aircraft take people out for trips across the Solent to the Isle of Wight, Portsmouth and the New Forest. When the sun shines, Daedalus is a very busy place.
One day you can have no movements whatsoever, and the following day you can be maxed out the 250 movements, because it's all dependent on the weather. We are at what's called a VFR airfield, which is visual flight rules. So on those days you can have really busy with a mixture of just private pilots coming down to see the beach, have an ice cream, or you've got business jets coming in for people for meetings, because we are in the middle of Portsmouth and Southampton, or generally flying schools, because flying schools take up 50% of our traffic movements.
And it's not just about history here. They're also looking to the future. In the corner of the airfield is the Fareham Innovation Centre. It's now home to many small businesses and start-up firms.
A significant step forward was the Innovation Centre, because that brought in specialist companies that wanted to be close to the sea, wanted to be close to the airport. A number of businesses, they need the airport to be able to operate. They've actually grown their businesses, and then they've moved into some of the hangars that we've purchased behind.
When they expand and move out of this building onto the airfield we have next door, we shout about that, because we've helped them on their business growth all the way through, and having the jobs locally. We have 350 people on site, over 60 odd businesses, so that's really good. And about 75% of our people come from about a 5-mile radius, so that's really superb. Just looking at the local economy, it's brilliant.
One company that outgrew the Innovation Centre is DFS Composites. It now has its own workshop at Daedalus and has gone global.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the collaborative environment here. We have fantastic relationships with many of the companies on site, and we work very closely with them. And when you see your neighbours succeeding, it really inspires you to push harder, to think bigger, to make those bold steps, which I think has been really instrumental in our growth. It's a beautiful area to work. How many people can look out of their office window and say they can see a Spitfire fly by? It's got a great community, it's got great transport links. There's a fantastic talent pool, local talent pool with the college just around the corner.
Across the road, there's a focus on the next generation of engineers and innovators. Seamast is a specialist college, and they are working with businesses to address a skills shortage.
We've got a bit of an ageing workforce. They've got some fantastic skills, but we face the problem that if we don't pick those skills up over the next few years with some of our learners and education, with the sort of competence and experience from those people in industry, in 10 years they're going to retire and we're going to be left with a massive gap. So from our point of view, it's about supporting that alongside supporting our learners to really drive, one, the industry, two, their education, and hopefully the future from there, really.
Fareham is one of the only centres on the south coast that offers this level of training, and many students here have high hopes for their futures.
My dad used to work at Fleetlands down the road, and I always used to go to the open days, and I just loved it.
And now you're here following your dad's footsteps?
Pretty much, yeah.
I just really like engineering, to be fair. I mean, the mechanics of flight, how we've actually managed to get stuff up in the air and working. It's pretty interesting.
Oh, I love it here.
Why is that?
It's maturity, it's sensible, and also, it's progressive. You learn a lot while you're here.
And it's this ambition that will shape how Daedalus changes and grows.
We've got 128,000 square metres of business space that's been allocated. We've currently only allocated about half of that. That's going to take time to do it, but once it's been master planned, then we can start allocating uses, and companies will come in looking to take up space. The whole purpose of local authorities are there for the improvement of the area. This is definitely an improvement. We're there to provide jobs for the area, and this is exactly what we're going to be doing as well.
10 years ago, this airfield was worth just £1. A tiny investment that's paid off. The skills, knowledge and expertise here guaranteeing the future of this truly historic site. Harry Acton, ITV News, at Daedalus.